I am joined now by the governor-elect of the great Commonwealth of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, up late with me tonight here on the Final Five for the first time since her election. First of all, how do I address the governor-elect?
I think as governor-elect.
Okay, good. Okay. First of all, it's good to see you. We have talked from the start of your campaign, and I'm curious, from the campaign being on the trail to this moment, how have things changed, and what does a day in a governor-elect look like?
So we are in the transition mode right now. And so I'm coming to you from our transition offices. And what that means is essentially I was here the day after the election, standing up our transition team. That's a group of people that are helping me go through the process of ensuring that we are hiring up. There's a tremendous number of positions to be filled in a new administration, and going through the process, a very formal process of doing all those interviews, getting people ready to join the administration and hit the ground running. It means that I'm doing a lot of outreach to legislators, Democrats and Republicans. Certainly along the campaign, I endeavored to do outreach, but now, particularly with the January session coming just around the bend, with bills getting filed, I've been doing a lot of coordination with General Assembly members to make sure that we are all on the same page, that I understand their continued priorities and what might be top of mind for the folks that they represent in the General Assembly, and particularly with so many new members coming in, ensuring that I'm beginning relationships with both the folks who have the incredible history of what is occurring in the General Assembly, what has occurred, the historical knowledge, but the new folks coming in, what's top of mind for them. Much of it I saw along the campaign trail, but now it is just every day building up so that we are ready to go day one, which will be, of course, inaugurations January 17th, and moving straight on from there.
61 days into now, but who's counting? Something you and I have discussed in the past. When you were in the Congress, you're a Democrat, but you were at one point determined to be one of the most bipartisan lawmakers in the House. Something that came up on the campaign trail was the fact you had, going into this, a very divided House. Democrats made huge gains. So as somebody who has broken with her party in the past, as we know in Congress, you have a very friendly legislature that you're going to be working with here. How do you hold on to that bipartisan reputation while still delivering on the agenda that you promised?
Well, I think importantly, and so many members of the General Assembly who will be new bring with them a sense of urgency and a dedication to their districts that I think will be impressive and will be refreshing voices in the General Assembly. And of course, those new members happen to all be Democrats. But because they are many members who flipped seats, they, just like I during my time in Congress, are accountable to the people both who voted for them and who did not. And they will represent districts across Virginia where they'll represent a lot of people who might align with Democrats or might align with Republicans, and sometimes they're in between. And so what I think is incumbent upon me as the incoming governor, and frankly those new members, is to remember that it's important to build coalitions where we can. And even though we might have numbers where I can easily get a bill passed without Republican involvement, why not endeavor, where possible, to build out coalitions and to make sure that people see the benefit of the legislation that we may be moving forward. And importantly, in a place like Virginia, where our Commonwealth is so diverse in terms of economy and landscape and populations, there are many issues that might have more of a regional pull or appeal. And so there are many places where we can build out coalitions that may be bipartisan or may be regional, but it's all about that intentionality. And I hope that even my approach will be that even though we might have numbers for easy passage of bills, that it will be incumbent upon me, and certainly the Speaker of the House has spoken of the same thing, where we can build out a greater consensus or greater coalition, we should. It's in the best interests of Virginia.
As we know, affordability was a big issue in the 2024 election, but it was a big issue in Virginia as well. And when you look at the map, I mean, you won places in Virginia that have not leaned blue in years. So what's the number one priority there? Once Governor Spanberger takes office and once the General Assembly returns, what's the big priority there to get those costs under control for Virginians?
Well, much of what I talked about across the campaign trail was what I was hearing from voters: affordability, particularly in the places where you can feel it the most. Healthcare, housing, your energy bill, for some families, their daycare. And so my priority moving forward is to make sure that every lever we can pull. So that means bills that we're going to push through the General Assembly to work to lower costs, we're going to do it. But it also means having a whole of government at the state level approach, places where we can, through regulatory change, through gubernatorial action within our administration, uh, take some of the stressors off of the things that are driving up costs, whether that is ensuring that we can build more housing, increasing supply to ultimately, and this, of course, it's not going to have immediate results, but to lower housing costs. Priorities to lower prescription drug costs are chief among those that I'll be working on as of day one. Now, that doesn't change the fact that our healthcare system is in a general time of upheaval, but certainly allowing us to at least steady and focus on prescription drug pricing is one element of that larger challenge for so many families. So, my marching orders to the cabinet that I will ultimately select and leadership across my administration will be: we need to constantly be looking at places where the choices of my future administration can have a positive impact on the goals of lowering costs or increasing affordability.
There's always talk about the first 100 days. Do you have certain goals you want to see in the first 100 days, or was that just an arbitrary milestone that's put out there into the public?
I think to some degree it is certainly a realistic measure of time where you can be achieving things or not. And so I am building out my plan for the first 100 days. I am building out the priorities that I will be acting on through action, executive action, on the very first day that I am sworn in. But ultimately, I don't think there should be any surprises for anyone who may be watching, that as I am releasing that 100-day plan and endeavoring to deliver on it, that it is squarely focused on issues of affordability and trying to make an impact both for Virginia families, small business owners, and our larger economy.
A couple of weeks ago, you did the customary meeting with the current governor, Governor Youngkin. It was a very cordial meeting there, and obviously a big change that he saw when he took it office. There's a big change that you're seeing as you come into office. I know that there's been perhaps some tension over some comments you made about the University of Virginia, the leadership, and the uncertainty over what's happening right there. The governor didn't seem to take that well. Does that affect the relationship between you two, or is this onward and upward from here?
I have a bit of empathy for the outgoing governor. There's a lot of shifts and changes going on. But notably, the letter that I sent to the University of Virginia's Board of Visitors leadership, the rector and vice rector, was focused on what should be common goals, which is ensuring the success of the University of Virginia, and importantly, ensuring the success of the search for a new president. The request that I made in that letter was that they recognize that at this moment the board is not at full complement, so it is under the required numbers, and it also doesn't meet statutory requirements of the composition of that board. And so in that letter, I simply said, as soon as I am sworn in, I will make 5 more appointments. I will work with the General Assembly to ensure that those people can get confirmation and do get confirmation quickly, and they will be in place by the end of January. So please keep that in mind. Please do not announce finalists or a choice for a university president, because frankly, if such a choice is made with a not fully constituted board, that does not set that future president up for success, and it certainly opens the board up to greater challenges in the future. So, it's unfortunate that the governor chose to view that as any message directed at him. It wasn't. It was directed at the Board of Visitors, and it was simply a request and also a commitment to ensure that I'm making those appointments quickly. And my expectation that they will be working in the best interests of the university as they continue their search and ultimately the selection of a president.
Last thing I want to ask you, when you look at Virginia, and again, the fact that you won many areas that didn't typically vote Democratic in the past, what would be your message to not just the people who voted for you, but the people who didn't vote for you when you take office on January 17th? What's the tone that you look to set here?
Yeah, well, and I think looking at the numbers, certainly you can see all of the blue arrows in some of the infographics that were put out. I know by the numbers that multiple counties that voted for President Trump in 16, 20, and 24 then voted for me in 2025. And sometimes that's talked about in just the political sense of what it, but for me, it means that people who multiple times over chose to put their faith and their trust in President Trump, and perhaps always with Republicans or maybe specific to him, in 2025 elected to vote for me. And what I see in that reality is that I have an enormous responsibility to be honest with people about the challenges ahead, to be relentless in pursuing policies that I know will positively impact them in their lives, their economy, their kids, but also recognizing that for those who maybe always vote for Democrats but typically don't vote, that's a level of trust. For those who decided to cross their traditional party lines, that's a step towards trust. And so I think the responsibility that I have is a great one, to communicate clearly, concisely, regularly, in all that I am doing, demonstrate transparency, and also make clear that I am committed to doing the things that I talked about on the campaign trail, because people voted because they're facing challenges, and the job of our state government, and in particular the job of the governor, is to hear those concerns loud and clear, to what's working, what's not, and to ensure that I am working relentlessly to try and make life better, create greater opportunity, and to do right by the people of Virginia, whether they voted for me or did not.
Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger on the final five. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we're back after this.